Okay, so some more movie lists for you. All right, so we're going to be starting at 60. So this is going to be leading into like the bottom half, which is, I guess, for me, would be like the better half or more personally connected half. So, and it's funny because as I was like putting my list together, I realized like I left things off. Like when I was talking about in the last list, I was talking about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which was a really good Thanksgiving movie. And the only other Thanksgiving movie I could think of was Pieces of April, and how that's like one of my favorite movies. And I don't even have that on this list. So, clearly I must have done something wrong. But whatever, we're going with the list as it is, as I've said multiple times. So this is going to bring us to the second half, which would be like my bigger half. And so I'm going to go as quick as I can, and then eventually I'll come over and back and do like the top half. All right, so this is 60 to 51. So for 60, I have The Babadook. I really love this movie. It is a horror movie, but like I'm a big fan of horror that is metaphor. I love this. I love It Follows. I like It Comes at Night. I'm not as interested in, like, I don't really like supernatural stuff. And if there is supernatural, I like it to be very, like, subtle. Sometimes I can get into, like, slasher movies. But for the most part with horror, the things that are most impactful for me tend to be, and you'll see this throughout my list, most of the horror movies I like tend to be psychological. And they tend to usually be, like, doing something else. And so The Babadook is one of them that, yes, it is a horror movie. It is about a creepy monster or whatever. But really what this is it's a reflection on grief. And in particular, I mean, I haven't had postpartum depression. But, it deals with postpartum depression. It deals with, like, loss of a loved one. It deals with just depression in general. And so in a way, like I've seen people say it was boring, and I don't know either. I just think sometimes if people don't like this kind of movie, I just think we just don't have the same kind of taste, because I feel like maybe they're more literal thinkers, or they just don't have experience with grief and depression. And I don't know how to explain that to someone. So I thought this movie does a really good job of kind of helping you kind of get in the mindset of someone dealing with that kind of grief. But anyway, that's why I love it. The next one is The Fifth Element. This was just a bonkers science fiction movie. And it's kind of the type of movie that I saw it like 5 times in the theater. I could not stop watching this movie. I loved it so much. And I think it was the kind of movie that even when I saw it, I was like, this is going to be like a cult classic. Like, it's so weird that I don't know that it's going to be popular or successful commercially, but I can see it 20 years from now being something people love. And I think that's pretty much been the case with it. It's just ridiculous. It's a lot of fun. If you like sci-fi and you like weird, over-the-top, ridiculous sci-fi, it's just fantastic. I feel like it's like everything everyone thought Star Wars was going to be back in the 70s. And then Star Wars turned out to be, like, better than that. And they were like, oh. But I also think it, like, it fulfills a need that, I don't think we have a lot of movies like this. And I love The Fifth Element. And, I mean, it's hard to explain. It's so weird that, like, you're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. It's not really, like, it's not a middle ground movie, I don't think. The next one is a smaller movie, and it's called Stay. It's got Ewan McGregor. I feel like, is Ryan Gosling in this maybe? Naomi Watts. It can't be Ryan Gosling. I don't know. Maybe it is. But basically, it's about a couple. And now I'm starting to wonder if it's Ewan McGregor or Ryan Gosling, and it's going to drive me mad trying to wonder. But basically, it's about... I don't really know how to explain this movie. It is just about a couple. There's some things going on. It's really, really weird. Apparently it was written by the guy who wrote Game of Thrones. So if you like him, great. If you don't, well, you probably hate this. But it's about a psychiatrist, and he has patients, and they're suicidal, and like, I can't explain this movie. It's just very visually stunning. The story is really interesting to me, and it it kind of has like a David Lynch feel, but like a little less complicated. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, then don't see this. But I really loved it. It just visually stuck with me. I mean, obviously the acting is really good. I thought the writing was really good. I just thought the story it stood out to me. It was very different. And again, I think part of this was one of those movies that I was just so visually drawn into that I was very, sometimes I just get so invested in a movie because it visually pulls me in. And so this was one of those. The next one is a very old movie, and this is City Lights with Charlie Chaplin. And I saw this only a couple years ago. And I like Charlie Chaplin. I always have, and I thought it would be good, but I can't even begin to express how good it is. It's just really, really sweet, fun movie, well made. Even though it's a silent movie, it's very emotional, very impactful. I just really, really love it. And it definitely holds up, even though it's, almost 100 years old. The next one is Memento. And I feel like at this point, everyone's kind of gone back to see Memento, because I remember when this came out, we were like, oh, wow, this director is really cool. And we went and saw his first movie, which was Following. And then I was like, I'm going to follow anything this director does. I bet he'll be big. And it's Christopher Nolan, so yeah, he turned out to be pretty big. But so if you haven't seen it, because, and you are a Christopher Nolan fan, definitely go back and see it. It's ridiculously good. But basically it's about a guy whose wife is murdered or killed or whatever. And he is determined to find her killer. And but he can't make new memories because there was an attack. And so now that he can't make new memories, he has trying to solve the murder, but in notes on his arms, and there's all these people who know things that he doesn't remember, but they remember, and it's a whole thing. But honestly, it's very, very good. Just see the movie. It's fantastic. You've probably seen it at this point because I feel like Christopher Nolan's so popular that I feel like everybody's kind of tracked this down at this point. I'm then going to mention a movie that I don't think I need to say anything about. It's Empire Strikes Back. Obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know. If you're not a Star Wars fan, why? Especially the original three. I get it. I get it with the new stuff. I personally, as much as I like Star Wars, I am so Star Wars out at this point. I'm please give me a hiatus on the Star Wars. Just stop. The problem is and Disney does this, and so when Disney bought Star Wars and Disney bought Marvel, and you just see it, they inundate you so much with the thing that you start to hate it and never want to see it again. And, part of what the pleasure of Star Wars was that they were done in the mid-'80s. And so when the prequels came out, we were just what? There's going to be more Star Wars? And it was we never thought in our lifetime we'd see more Star Wars. And now it's oh my God, it would be nice if I could go a year without more Star Wars. So I get why people, maybe if they weren't Star Wars fans, are kind of over Star Wars now. But if you haven't seen the originals, Empire's the best one. Although if you ask me, it's going to be whatever I just saw out of the originals. But I still think, objectively, Empire's probably the best one. Then the next movie is Dazed and Confused, which is just a really fun movie about, growing up and that point in your life before you, really move on. So high school sort of, there's a mix. It's, the kids moving into high school and the kids moving out of high school, and just period in your life, that moment and that coming of age and that's beginning of shaping your own identity. It's just a great movie. And then V for Vendetta, which is just fantastic. And again, some of these are rare, so I try to talk more about the ones that are rare. V for Vendetta is very popular, so you know about it, I'm sure. Fantastic movie, fantastic graphic novel. I think, they're different enough, but also similar enough. They didn't mess up the plot, but they also there's something valuable in each version, I think. Then the next one at 52 is American Honey. This one was a little lesser known. The thing with American Honey is it's one of those movies that I've only seen the one time. And I honestly never want to watch it again because I don't know that I'll ever be able to recapture what I felt when I saw it. And I'm afraid that if I watch it again, I would just be like, it was all right. Because sometimes the movie, and I've mentioned this a couple times, sometimes the movie is just the right thing at that right moment. And American Honey is one of those movies that was very like, I don't know why, but at the moment I was watching it, it just hit me so hard emotionally, and it resonated with me, and I was just very, very impacted by it, and I was like, I was very emotionally, like, moved by it, and I just think that, like, I'm afraid if I watched it again, I would just not get that feeling again, and so I'm just leaving it here as something that really, really moved me at a point in time. I have a hard time, like, recommending it because I don't know if somebody else will experience that. But for whatever reason, it just really hit me. And then 51 is Chinatown, which, again, just is a fantastic movie. Kind of a classic, must-see type of movie. So, I have, like, a mix of those on my list. I didn't intentionally do it. It's just, I have the ones that, like, everyone loves, the super popular ones everyone loves, the ones that have, like, kind of held up over, the decades that have kind of always recommended by, like, the critics, and then the ones that just personally, like, hit me. So that's that list, and at some point I will be back with the bottom 50. All right, bye.